So a draw it was, as Dean Wilson predicted throughout this game. 135 for 5 it ended up. It was pretty nip and tuck at one stage though. I thought 39 for 3. I looked over to see how he was looking then, because West Indies then were just wobbling a little bit. But Brathwaite again, I mean, how on earth are they going to get him out? I don't know. 56 not out from 184 balls. He's faced 673 balls in this test match. Jack Leach took 3 wickets, finished with 3 for 36 from his 25 overs. He's had a long old game, but they just couldn't quite break through, and there was that. You often get that battle here between the light fading as well. It was just starting to go before Joe Root decided to shake hands and finish it off from that point. So another draw, a winning draw, as I put to Joe Root, and we'll hear that in a second, Dean Wilson. But I guess that's about right, isn't it? A winning draw again, like Antigua.
Yeah, I guess so. England were the team making the running. They were the ones who came out with that sort of positive intent at the start of the day to get themselves an equation that they'd be happy with, and then try and see if their bowlers could pull something pretty special off. Got a bit closer, one more wicket than they got in Antigua, so you could say that they're making progress. But yeah, as you say, Craig Brathwaite and his broad bat stood in their way, as did the pitch as well. Although there probably was a little bit more in that wicket than there was in Antigua, I thought. But
definitely
not, but not.
I understand that that they're trying to do a lot with confidence and so on, but yeah, that was not a bad pitch to bowl spin on.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it had taken turn throughout the game really. It was a funny one actually, because I think there was some inconsistent turn, which you would say should be even more in the bowler's favour, because you're not quite sure how much it's going to spin and how far and exactly what line to play and all the rest of it. But for some reason it seemed to go the other way and actually work in Brathwaite's favour, or maybe just he was that good. But we saw a couple towards the end where he got beaten on the inside between bat and pad, and then he covered that up, and then he got beaten on the outside, and it ripped past him, and so there were those moments, especially from Jack.
Natural variation is what they call it these days.
Natural variation, that's the one. But he didn't get, there weren't any almost moments of where you could appeal for a DRS, or going straight on and hit the pad. I mean, just Brathwaite was absolutely equal to everything, and I think he inspired the rest of his batsmen largely to support him and see him through. I thought Blackwood, the vice captain, who had scored 100 in the first innings, played really well in the second innings and kind of curbed his natural attacking instincts very well. And then Joshua Da Silva, the wicket-keeper, who I think is a terrific young player, and I'm really enjoying watching him play, because I do think he can bat. I think that even saving the game, there were a couple of moments he did put the bad ball away when it arrived. So a winning draw for England, but West Indies were good value for it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So more runs for Root. I think number 3 is going to be his favourite position soon. Great 100 from Stokes. We're just strapping in there for some more. But for me again, I really am liking the look of Dan Lawrence now. I wasn't sure in the summer whether he had whether he was going to be good enough or not. But he's really showing, I think, on this trip. Well, quite a lot of things: innovation, flair, brilliant catch as well. Incidentally, at cover, selfless, plays for the team. I mean, he looks to be very good, and that off-spin bowling isn't bad. I mean, it looks awful, the action at least, but actually, when he lands it.
Yeah, he does. And do you know what? I think you're right about Dan Lawrence. There's a lot to admire there, not least his kind of attitude, the way he goes about his cricket, the response after he took that catch, and the sort of the desire. You can just see it etched across his face, really doing everything he can to try and help England win, and then as a batsman, he's there primarily to score runs, and he's absolutely done that. He's contributed with the runs, 91 I think it was in the first innings, and then 41 in the second. Sort of 2 sparkling knocks, and he's entertaining. He's a crowd favourite. I think he's. If you talk to anyone, any Essex supporter out there, they'll tell you that they've had their eye on him. He's one of their own, and been promised so much for a while now. But I'm starting to see, why he's a favourite, and I think he's probably starting to emerge rather than a cult favourite to be something a bit more mainstream, and that's great for him and for the team if he can go on and get those 3 figures sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so it was a big call, him or Ollie Pope, and Pope's had his chances, and so Lawrence deserves his. It's a discovery tour, this, isn't it? In lots of ways. Well, what are you discovering? I guess about the bowlers we've seen, Fisher and Mahmood playing here. Are you learning much about these reserves?
You always learn something whenever someone plays, and I think in the case of Fisher and Mahmood, 2 guys making their Test debut, you're kind of looking to see whether they've got the right kind of character and attitude to be able to thrive in the arena. And I certainly thought that Saqib Mahmood, who's played some international cricket in the white ball arena, now in the red, looks absolutely comfortable in it, that he's got the ability to take wickets. He took a couple on day 5, both edge to slip, kind of classic seamer's dismissal, and looked like he could get on a bit of a hot streak, and so I'm kind of still hoping and expecting that to happen for him. And then in the case of Fisher, I think lots of energy on the ball, got the new ball to move, put the ball in the right areas, absolutely. No sign of nerves as such. I'm sure he was nervous, but you wouldn't know it. And so seeing him in these conditions on a pretty docile surface, it now makes you kind of wonder and expect and think about what he'd be like on a more bowler friendly home surface with the ball that he's used to using. So really positive signs for them, and as I say, you learn something about everyone when they play a game. Yeah,
and there's lots of talk about obviously Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad not being here. I must just mention that Jimmy Anderson is on 5 Live Cricket on Monday night at 9 p.m, and that'll be available as a podcast on this feed afterwards. Right, let's get some reaction then. Let's hear from the England captain, Joe Root.
These games are obviously pretty hard work, aren't they?
Yeah, I think if you asked Jack Leach that, he'd definitely say that, the amount of overs he's bowled this week. But great fun at the same time. I think if we keep putting ourselves in these positions, it won't be long before we see ourselves winning a Test match here. So more of the same next week. Can't ask for any more from the group. They were brilliant again. Attitude was excellent. Commitment throughout the whole game. Spending long times in the field. Concentration and ability to take those chances today when with some tired bodies flying around was a great effort. So a lot of good signs again, throughout the whole game. So really pleasing week.
Do you count them as winning draws? Do you still have those things?
Well, you don't in terms of the Test Championship points, but I think from our perspective, where we've been this winter and where we're starting to see improvements is a really promising thing from us. And as a batting group, to keep gaining confidence to go on another step this week and better what we did last week was really pleasing. And again, it's just about hopefully guys can take that into the next game and we can see it more frequently now. But a couple of young lads coming in making the debuts, I thought they were excellent again on a very placid wicket. Not one that you'd want for your Test debut, but they certainly didn't let anyone down. They kept running in. They kept trying to create pressure and create chances, and they certainly did that. So I'm very pleased for them as well.
And runs for you, and 500 on the board as well. So things moving well in the batting scheme.
Yeah, likes of Dan coming in, just clearly playing with a lot of confidence. 2 times now he's played very selflessly in the second innings to try and get us into a position where we can declare. And if he keeps playing like he did in the first innings, it won't be long till he gets that first 100 of his. It was a joy to bat with him out there, and it was a joy to watch. So he just got to keep putting himself in those positions, and it won't be far from making those 3 figures.
Yeah. And is that part of the attitude that you're really chasing here? I mean, you mentioned the way that he's playing totally selflessly, and Alex Lees as well. I mean, is that kind of what you're after?
Yeah, and it's actually really important to mention Alex in the first innings as well. It was probably the time where the seamers had the most to work with, and I think it was a really important partnership that me and him put on together. He's knocked 30 odd off a lot of balls. It sort of killed the seamers out of the game a little bit, and it made it a lot easier for our middle order to go on and pile the runs on. So easy to just look at the numbers, but that was a really important innings for this team, and he should gain a lot of confidence from that as well. But a number of different things in different ways that the batting group is slowly building that confidence back up and getting somewhere where we need to be in this format.
Jack Leach, I mean, he did wheel away a lot of overs, my word, and he spun the ball. I mean, you disappointed in the end that he couldn't quite get you over the line?
No, I'm not disappointed with him at all. I thought that pitch would have broken up a little bit more. I thought we'd see more spin and more up and down movement. So I think Jack's lost about 2 inches of height this week. He's on his second new ball. I think he bowled 90 odd overs. So, but again, he's bowling with great control. He's looked very threatening throughout the whole game, and that progression for his game and his position within the team it's great to see. And if he can keep going, then it's only going to benefit us massively.
Last thought, your opposite number, crikey, what sort of batting was that in this match?
Oh, he played wonderfully well, Craig. I think for him to lead from the front how he did, he just soaked up all of the pressure, made it very difficult for us, didn't give us many opportunities, and today was real pain for us. So credit to him and his team. They fought very hard. Ended up being quite an enjoyable and exciting last day's cricket. So I'm sure we're in for something similar when we get to Grenada.
And fitness-wise, Joe, sorry to interrupt you, but fitness-wise of Robinson and Overton, any news there?
Yeah, they're looking good. Again, we'll see where they're at with the couple of days that we've got leading into the game, but it's all promising signs. So hopefully we've got both of them to pick from as well. And again, with the workloads that we've had throughout this week, it just gives us a real. We just got to make sure we're really clear of what we want to go with next week.
So that was Joe Root talking to me afterwards. I'll tell you what, he looked exhausted. Do you think? I mean, 2 Test matches like that.
Yeah,
he
he
scored
did.
runs. He's having to work the field all the time. I thought he looked knackered.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, he bowled a few overs, not too many, but it's the mental exhaustion as captain, trying to cajole and think of any which way that he could take those wickets and changing ends, asking Jack Leach to move, one end to the other, which bowler, what fields. We saw the guys on their knees with under the helmet, trying to get as close as they could to take these catches. Even Joe himself was in one of those positions. So, he did look absolutely knackered. It's 5 days of kind of tough cricket, and you're, as captain, you're always thinking. But I do wonder whether he's always trying to kind of look positively and build on things and try and take things forward. And I wonder what he might have learned from these 2 games. Yeah, there was plenty of endeavour, plenty of effort. You can't fault those kind of qualities that England have put on show, and certainly with the bat, real quality with the stroke play and so on from the likes of Stokes and Lawrence. But they've come up 5 wickets short here this time, 6 wickets short in the first Test, and he'll be thinking, what else do I need? What else do I want in my side to be able to take those wickets? And I think that will be the thing that he's going to be trying to pick up from these first 2 Tests.
We'll talk about Grenada in a second. Let's hear first of all, though, from Craig Brathwaite, the West Indies captain, who batted for 673 balls in this match.
Well, Craig, I should think you're one tired man, aren't you?
Yeah, a little tired. Obviously look forward again some rest and come ready again for the 3rd Test.
673 balls you faced in this game. That's extraordinary.
Yeah, I think that was super. Obviously I did it for my team. Obviously England really put 500 plus on the board, so we had to spend a lot of time. And then the second innings, obviously today we had a fight, and I'm very happy to do it for my team.
Yeah. Being captain, does it give you that focus, even more of a focus, to bat like that?
Yeah, I mean, at any day, obviously I want to lead from the front. And at times for sure it could help, because at any day I'm starting the batting, facing the first ball. So when I'm out there, the team is always benefiting.
You're a cussed character. Are you a stubborn man?
At times, I guess, but that's mainly for batting. Outside of batting, maybe a little more.
I mean, 400 dot balls. That's 2 sessions. That's 2 sessions of Test cricket.
Yeah, that just shows how England bowled. He thought, especially Jack Leach. He made you play forward a lot, and he was very tight. And obviously kudos to England, all the bowlers for bowling tight. And for me, it's very happy to do it for my team, to be honest.
And that's 2 games now. West Indies have batted with a lot of resolve, under pressure on the last day. You'll be pleased about that.
Yeah, very pleased. Obviously, we always talk about attitude, and I thought we had the right attitude throughout, and we showed the fight. Obviously, England, scored a lot of runs, and we had to fight to come back into the game, which we did, and obviously we did well by saving it, the last day.
Right. Any thoughts of Grenada? Any thoughts of what the pitch might be? Will it have a little more pace, do you think?
Well, I haven't been in Grenada for a while, so I can't say it. Hopefully it does, but I know generally it's a good batting pitch, to be honest.
Well, that was the West Indies captain Craig Brathwaite, and with me now is Andrew Seeley from Line and Length Radio, who we do a lot with you. Andrew, it's lovely to see you again, and good to get a Bayesian view of things. Mind you, Craig Brathwaite, I mean, he's been batting for your country. What do you make of that? Is that typical of him?
Oh, it's very typical, Jonathan. And I'm sure you know that the years have gone by with Craig from the time he was at primary school. He's been batting this way. I think everyone knew he was going to be the West Indies opening batsman, that he was going to be the West Indies captain, and that's the way he was going to bat as well. Probably about 8 hours in this game, or very close.
673 balls he's faced.
Right. Oh, it just calling the number sounds problematic for both you and I.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nothing surprising, and the facts are that this is the Craig Brathwaite that we know, and this is the Craig Brathwaite that will continue to play this way for the West Indies for as long as he's able. We saw some more positivity, I think, in Antigua at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium, but I think that was lost here back at home at Kensington Oval, his home. And I think he'll continue to do this and continue to frustrate bowlers all over the world.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because going back and going over the West Indies over the period of times that I've been watching cricket, and you too, I guess, a lot of West Indian batting's been about the flamboyant stuff, the calypso shots. You go back to all the wonderful stroke players that you've had. So I mean, the Brathwaite model doesn't quite fit into that, and yet people accept it, people admire it, I guess.
But there is some, I mean, on social media there's some criticism of how slow he bats. But I mean, if he didn't bat that slow, the game would have finished yesterday afternoon, and we'd be lamenting another loss by the West Indies. So I think we have to be realistic. Yes, I think people have come to accept that this is the Craig Brathwaite, and if you come to watch a test match, this is what is going to happen when Craig Brathwaite bats. Mind you, he's also scored centuries in ODI cricket or local ODI cricket, one-day cricket. So, in fact, he can step up a gear, or he can change gears if he wants, but he recognizes that in this team, he is the linchpin. Well, obviously, he and Bonner now, because I think Bonner has recognized it too some 11 years later.
Yes. It's interesting. 4 years ago, when West Indies beat England over here, I thought then we saw a change. That they were prepared to dig a bit deeper. They weren't those mad collapses that we've seen in recent years, and that seems to have moved on even more. I mean, you must be very pleased the way they've batted the last 2 test matches under pressure on the last day. There would have been times in the not too distant past where there'd have been some crazy shots played and they'd have fallen in a heap. But this team looks different. As
I said to you earlier during the day, it is different. Set West Indies 284 to win in 65 overs. We might have thought about chasing it 10 years ago and ending up being all out for 120, 130. But what we're seeing now is respect for the opposition and respect for the fact that we need to save the game to ensure we don't lose a test match and in fact lose the test series. And I think it is important to recognize that you need to not just look for a win, but to ensure that you don't lose.
Yeah, sure. And here, Andrew, and I'm lucky enough to have seen the old Kensington and experienced it, and the fast bowlers tearing in, and the Kensington, the band going in the stands, totally different atmosphere. This test match, we've seen a pitch that's crumbling and spinners are getting it, with this kind of a corporate feel to the ground. It's full of English spectators. And how does that all sit with you, an old Bayesian cricket lover?
No, let's put it this way. Let's talk about the economy first. COVID-19 has been devastating for Barbados, as I guess for the rest of the world, and our economy really needed an injection. So we're thankful.
Yep.
I'm going to say that you all have been here, and we wish that you could come every year.
Well, we owed you one because you all came to us too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I should have been there, but obviously I wasn't flying then either. In terms of the actual pitch and cricket, it's obviously it's been a change. We're challenged as to why the pitches are no longer being the speed pitches that we saw. I mean, we reminisce about the over that Holden Bowl to boycott.
Yes.
We talk about Ambrose's dismissal of England. We haven't seen anything like that anytime in the recent past. But we don't have fast bowlers like that anymore. We have to accept that. Kemar Roach is our linchpin now, and we know Kemar is 130s, mid 130s.
Good bowler.
Right, of course he's a brilliant bowler, and he's proven it. Now gone past 235, gone past the red excellence of Garfield Sobers. But the pitch crumbling, yes, but the reality is, and you would have heard that in the recent past, the majority of wickets taken in all regional cricket have been taken by the spinners, hence Permaul in the team, but bowled rather disappointingly when you compare the performance of Jack Leach, the two left-arm spinners. If you put them side by side, obviously Permaul, and he must be in some doubt for the next Test match. I haven't heard any word about the squad or possible changes, but he must be in some doubt, as I imagine some others on the team are, as we head to Grenada.
Yeah. And what are we going to get in Grenada, Andrew? Just tempt us there.
It's not going to be any different. It's not going to be any different in terms of the pitch.
Oh, really?
I have to tell you, it's not going to be any different.
Can't you get there and just do something, grow some grass on it or something?
You want Mahmood to take out Braffett early, don't you?
I want some pace onto the bat. I want to see the batsman playing some shots.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to get that there.
Okay.
Probably have to head to New Zealand or Australia down under for that.
Okay, all right. But anyway, this is just a recap. I mean, 0-0 going there with one to play. But it's a decent place to be.
Well, that's what you want to do, and I believe that if not 10,000, maybe 5,000 English fans will be in Grenada for the game.
There'll be fewer than here.
Fewer than here.
Yeah.
But I think Grenada as well, the Prime Minister would tell you, Dr. Mitchell will tell you that it's important for the Grenadian economy as well to have the Brits come in and spend some money, spend some time. And it's important for Caribbean cricket, for cricket to be back in the region. We've been obviously starved of cricket for so long. You probably would not have thought so by the fact that there are not many Barbadians in the stands. But as I mentioned to you, people are still concerned about COVID. People are also, the economy is still very tight. Things are very, very tight in the country. The rising prices, oil prices, the price of food, importation. There are a lot of issues around economics. So it was so important for the English to be here in Barbados and to be part of the entire activity. And I think they've had a ball. I know you have, and your colleague here has spent some money, and we're glad to see. I'll let out a little secret. He's bringing in home some pretty shirts.
I saw those. They're awful, aren't they? When's he going to wear those?
I can't. Let's put it this way.
No one in Barbados wears shirts
Let's
like
put it
that.
this way.
Why do we buy shirts like that?
I've been to England many times, as you know, Jonathan. I've never seen anybody in England wearing those shirts. So I look forward to seeing when somebody wears those shirts.
I've never seen a Bayesian wearing those shirts either.
Neither in Oxford Street or up in Birmingham or in Trent Bridge. No.
No, well, we'll look out for that. Andrew, it's lovely to see you. Thanks for coming to see us.
No problem, Jonathan. Anytime.
The TMS Podcast from BBC Radio 5 Live.
Well, Dean Wilson is still with me. A quick look ahead to Grenada. Dean, it looks as if Overton and Robinson are going to be back again. Whether they give Chris Wokes a break. It'd be a bit of a shame if Saqib and Fisher don't play, given that they've played their first match here. And there's always that talk, of course, about a second spinner, perhaps.
Yeah, what we'll learn about the team in Grenada. First of all, is have they got any better at reading pitches? Because if it looks like you're going to get a similar kind of surface to the two that we've had thus far, then you'd have to say that they need to give serious consideration to Matt Parkinson joining that attack. Look, I think Chris Wokes certainly seems to be pretty done physically. No slighting. I know people will talk about his poorer record away from home, which has been well covered, but just the physical toll of the amount of cricket that he's played and the intensity of the cricket that he's played all winter, to me looks like he's pretty cooked. So I wouldn't be surprised if he came out of the side. And then if you've got Ollie Robinson and Craig Overton looking to play, if they do want to go down that road, then perhaps one of the debutants will have to move aside. And I think that physically they'll have to work things out, but probably Mahmood remains the kind of bowler of difference. His trajectory, his skills, are probably slightly different to what Fisher offers along with other bowlers. That's a very convoluted way of trying to say it.
I know what you mean. Absolutely.
So I think that's what they'll have to weigh up. But batting is firing. Looking good. I don't see Ollie Pope getting a sniff on this trip now. But yeah, they'll have to freshen up the bowlers. Just from a physical point of view as much as anything. And if you've got an Ollie Robinson, who's clearly a quality Test match performer, you need to try and play him when he's fit and available. So I do expect a change there.